This
This
conference will now
conference
be
will now be
recorded.
recorded.
Well, good morning, everybody, and welcome to the Board of Commissioners meeting for the Lake Stevens Sewer District. It is August 12th, 2021. 9 a.m. is a usual start for us, so we'll go ahead and get this thing started. But before we go, I just want to read our usual little statement because we are in a hybrid type of remote meeting. So commissioner, staff, citizens, since this is a hybrid meeting, there are some initial comments that are in order. As required by the governor's March 24th, 2020 proclamation, the Lake Stevens Sewer District has held its commissioners meetings remotely using the GoToMeeting platform. While this has occurred for more than a year, we're glad to be able to ensure some business continuity by utilizing this format. Members of the public who are participating in the in-person or remotely, we are very grateful for your support and patience as we work through this interim way of doing business. As required by the recent Snohomish County Health District's memorandum on August 10th, 2021 directive, masks are now required regardless of vaccine status while attending this meeting in person. Individuals choosing not to wear a mask will be asked to leave and join the meeting remotely. So members of the public, you've been invited to join us in accordance with the CDC and state coronavirus guidelines via the virtual meeting format of the GoToMeeting platform. We're going to handle the public comment sections of our agenda in a couple ways. First, the comments, questions, or concerns that were received by our sewer district customer service or otherwise received sufficiently in advance of the meeting will be read through the public forum aspect of our agenda. Secondly, during the meeting, any remote participants wishing to comment during this portion of the agenda can remotely use the chat box and indicate that they would like to make a comment to the Board of Commissioners. And third, anybody who is in person in our meeting this morning can go ahead and just signify to the board or any of our staff that they would like to make a comment, and we will provide that opportunity for you. As usual, we need to just make sure we speak one at a time. Wearing masks sometimes can make things a little more difficult for folks to understand what is being said. And it also helps our note takers, even though this is a recorded meeting, take those respective notes. So with that being said, let's go ahead and start by doing the Pledge of Allegiance. So please join me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Well, good morning, everybody. Welcome back. As we look on the screen, we can see there is some participation. We do appreciate that everybody is joining us this morning. So as we start going through our process, the first thing that we have this morning would be agenda approval. The only thing that I would just add, because I do not see it on the bottom, but we are going to have a 5-minute executive session. This executive session is just to give updates on pending and potential litigation that is with the district, and also to review public employees. There will be no decision to follow, but there is going to be an executive session, so I did want to ensure that the public understood that there would be one this morning. And of course, as usual, you are welcome to stick around and see us end the meeting, but at the end of that meeting, there won't be anything but us coming out and going ahead and closing the meeting itself. So with that being said, I would entertain a motion to approve the current agenda as provided.
Commissioner, just before you do that, I have one edit to the agenda.
Okay.
The one that was sent out, the payroll under the consent items, the dollar amount had not been filled in before that got sent out. So the one in front of you actually has that filled in. But just for the record, for the public, that dollar amount is $217,825.09. And that was the only addition to the agenda that staff had.
Perfect, thank you. So that just, it does change it. Obviously, this agenda is available for anybody who would like to get a more updated copy, but with that being said, with that addendum,
I make a motion that we approve the agenda as amended.
Second.
It has been moved and seconded to approve the current agenda, consent items. Losing my place already, as submitted. So I'll go ahead and call for the vote. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Motion has carried. Thank you, everybody. Public forum. We are already down to the public forum. I know my little statement was probably longer than what we'll get in public forum, but have we received anything previously through our customer service or emails or calls?
No.
Nothing. Okay, that's one down. Anybody joining us remotely this morning, would you like to comment on anything we might have before the board, or it doesn't necessarily have to be in front of us? It might be some concern that you've heard and may want clarification on. I'm currently looking up at the chat box and not seeing it light up, so that might be a good sign. So if nobody there, we will move on to number 3, which would be the public. And currently, nobody has joined us from the public this morning, so that will go ahead and close the public forum aspect of today's meeting. We're going to move down to old business, which is number 6. The first thing in order is a resolution under A. That resolution is 1006. It's creating a policy and procedure for temporary use of the facility. I will turn it over to staff.
So resolution 1006 is for the temporary use and rental of a district facility. Currently, just this room, the Jim Mitchell boardroom conference room, is listed as a potential rental facility for the public use. And this was previously discussed in our workshop. There's a resolution with it, and then the first iteration of our policy is also included with that as an attachment to the resolution. The resolution would require that if we add additional facilities that are available for rental use, that they would come back to the board again to add those. But the dollar amounts that were discussed in the workshop and the uses are also consistent with what we discussed. So it has, I should say, it has been reviewed by legal and it's recommended by staff.
Okay. Any questions by fellow board members on that?
This is the one we talked about quite extensively in our workshop, so.
Yep. No, pretty clear cut. And for those that may not have reviewed it, and I know that it's a little more difficult because things go electronically, the biggest part of the resolution just is in context that there's a fee schedule that would be attached. The fee schedule would be as follows. If you are a government inside the Lake Stevens community, there is no charge to obviously utilize this room. Nonprofits are personal. If you're within the city, as far as the community, it's $20 an hour. If you're a for-profit company and you are still located here, we charge $30 an hour. The difference is on the outside, if you're a government coming in from a different location, meaning another city or community, it's $30 an hour. A nonprofit personal is $40 an hour, and a for-profit would be $50 an hour. So it just kind of spells out the different costs there. So that's probably the most important aspect of it, because I know a lot of people want to know what does it cost. And so with that clarification there, I would entertain a motion to approve resolution number 1006 if the other commissioners so desire to do that.
I'll make a motion to approve resolution number 1006 for temporary use of the facility.
Second.
It has been moved and seconded to approve resolution number 1006, which is a resolution of the Board of Commissioners for the Lake Stevens Sewer District, Snohomish County, Washington, creating policies and procedures and priorities for temporary use and rental of district facilities. So with that being said, is there any further questions, comments, concerns? Looking to my two fellow commissioners, not seeing them indicate so. I'll go ahead and call for the vote. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
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 Aye, it has passed. Thank you, staff, for all the work on that. And as we shuffle some paper, but we were going to move on down to the next resolution, which is B, and it is a resolution number 1007, authorizing the sale and surplus of some district vehicles that have been well used, I'm sure. So I'll give it to staff to please bring us up to speed.
All right, so resolution 1007, like you said, is a resolution to surplus 2 of our vehicles in our fleet. Both currently are in the collections department. And the Chevy Colorado 2009, so it's 12 years old, has about 126,000 miles on it. The Dodge Dakota 2000, about 21 years old, doesn't run, sitting in our lot. The odometer stopped working at about 140,000 miles. So, and it was used for several months after the odometer stopped working. So it is well above. Resolution 972 sets out for the district that trucks should be replaced at about 8 years and 125,000 miles. So both of these vehicles, although not the oldest in our fleet, definitely qualify under the replacement resolution. As discussed in a previous utility meeting workshop, I did reach out to the city to ask if they wanted them, and they did not want either vehicle. So at this point, the resolution to declare them surplus has been reviewed by legal and is recommended by staff.
Excellent. Okay, any questions from the board members? Okay, how about a motion to approve resolution number 1007?
I'll make a motion to approve resolution number 1007, authorizing the sale of surplus property of the vehicle.
I'll second.
It has been moved and seconded to approve resolution number 1007, which is that resolution to the board. It is by the Board of Commissioners for Lake Stevens Sewer District, Snohomish County, Washington, authorizing the sale and surplus of personal property pursuant to RCW 5708-015, which entails the 2 mentioned vehicles, as we were brought up to speed by staff. Also indicated that they were offered to the city as part of our agreements that we have them, and they do not even want these vehicles. So with that being said, any further questions before we call for the vote? There is none. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
And it has been approved. Thank you, staff. Let's move on down to new business and the 2021 mid-year budget draft. I know that we have Nikki here this fine morning, so she is going to be walking us through that. So I'm going to turn this over to staff and let them bring us up to speed. So let us know if you are on video there, if you can see what is being shared, because we do want you to follow along. So I see Barry giving me the thumbs up, so I'm going to indicate that everybody on that has the opportunity. So with that being said, give it to staff.
Great. So we've gone through the budget and did a mid-year budget update. And the first schedule, can you guys scroll that up a little bit for you?
Yeah, my older age, I cannot see those numbers as well.
Yeah, we got it.
Distance,
Got
we
it.
are,
Too, though.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So schedule 1 is a recap of all of the other schedules, and it goes starts with the operating cash. And we have the 2021 beginning of year budget. The middle column is the mid-year actuals where we were at the end of June, and then where our the 2021 mid-year budget update is. So we started off the beginning of year budget on line number 6, a net operating cash value for O&M expenses of $10,113,047. We updated that for the mid-year to be $10,870,334, an increase of $757,287. If you look at line 5, you'll notice that our beginning of year debt payment and our end within your budget update debt payment is actually lowered. That is because we did use our rate stabilization money to pay off one of the debts. So that's why that is lowered. On line number 7, our projected O&M, we started the year off with $7.2 million. Our mid-year budget, we've increased by $260,000 to become 7.465. We'll get into that detail on schedule 4. So our net operating revenues for the end of the year, we're projecting to be $3.4 million. That's up almost 500 million from the beginning of your budget. Then you can see lines 9 through 11 is the rate stabilization fund. And since we have used all of those funds, it now has an end of year rate stabilization fund of 0. And we use those funds to pay off SRF debt for the new treatment plan. Then we go, oh, sorry, you didn't see that there. That's the rate stabilization fund. Then we go down to the capital cash flows. And the capital side is a little bit different because our projects are multi-year. So you can't really do a beginning of year, mid-year, and the actual. So what we do on the capital side is we look at the full budget, what we've spent to date, what we have left to spend on those projects. So we expect, well, we have in the budget to spend $8 million. That's line number 17. Leaving an end of year capital reserve of $9.7 million. And that'll be on schedule 5, and we'll go into more detail on that. And then our other cash is, these are restricted funds from the SRF loans. We have to have one yearly payment amount in this fund in case for whatever reason we can't make our payment, we would use that reserve fund. So that is a restricted fund that just sits there. And you'll notice that it has lowered a little bit from the beginning of the year to mid-year. That's because since we paid off that one SRF loan, we were able to take that payment amount out of it. On to schedule 2. Okay. So these are our revenues. We started off with rate revenue for the beginning of the year, $14.4 million. And we expect to end it at 14.440. And actually, looking at some numbers recently, that will probably go up because it looks like Matthew is going to come in this year. And so they'll start buying more permits that weren't expected in that major budget update. We did up the permit to 398 permits for the year. The interest charge, we just took what the current one was times 2. That's the interest on the past due accounts. And the late fees and penalties, we just did that the mid-year times 2. The fog fees, unless there's any other credits that come through for it, that's where the end of the year should sit. Other sewer revenues, we don't try to figure out what's coming through for these. This is map sales and any forfeited DEA deposits. So you never know how that's going to go. The rental income for the Vernon Business Center is the rent net expenses. We expect that to come in at almost $30,000. Leaving our projected operating revenue at $4.798 million. Are there any questions on the revenue? Okay, then schedule 3 is our debt. And the only thing new on this is line number 16. Where we paid off that loan. So you'll see in the 2021 budget, there is a 0 amount owing because it's been paid off. Any questions on that? Okay, the next schedule, 3B, is the debt and it goes out 5 years. And you can see we'll start paying off some of this debt. Next year we'll have made payments on 3 of them, will be their last payments. And we go down to the bottom where we go to our 10-year, just a total summary of it. You'll see in 2033, when we're supposed to merge with the city, it'll be an annual debt of about $900,000. And what that comprises of is 1 SRF loan that will be completed in 2036. And the 2 PWTF loans that the city and the district went down to Olympia and had them refinance, and those go through 2038. Any questions on that? The fun part, schedule 4. So we start off with the office and the administrative expenses. And Overall, we were able to tighten up the budget and take it down 3.8%. There's a few things that went up. One of them is line number 5, it's the customer records and collections. We are hoping to be with Invoice Cloud by now and not through Express for our online credit card payments and our electronic statements. We're having an issue with Invoice Cloud and Cassell being able to do our duplicate billing customers. So Cassell is writing some new software to be able to address that. So when that gets done, then we'll be able to convert over and start saving some money there. The next really large item is the computer maintenance expense. That's through Snohomish County IT. We have gone through this year and have almost all staff with the capabilities of working remotely. So there was some increased cost with that. Is there any questions on the admin budget? Okay, so we'll go down.
Yeah. For the computer maintenance line, there's also we increased the number of staff we have as well.
Yes.
So it's not just existing staff costs, so yeah.
On taxes and insurance, we included the stormwater fees on line number 37 for the property tax and fire district fees by $15,000. And the district property insurance is increased by $8,000. They expect a possible increase when we go to our new policy that starts in September. We're doing some reaching out right now to find a good competitive policy for what we currently have. Advisors and expenses, or advisor expenses. We added an additional $3,500 to the state auditor at line number 40 for our cybersecurity audit. Although through the auditor it's free, but we will have some other expenses with legal and calling engineering through the testing. So we increased that by $3,500. Then line number 44, the legal. We increased Anderson Hunter by $2,000, bargaining by another $2,000, and we have the litigation line item now, which we put in $200,000. That includes litigation with the city, possible litigation with an illegal connection, and possible with a developer billing issue that we're having. And then the unification, we dropped that one down to as well. Engineering, we dropped down 2,000, and we had a bond issuance. We had to do our arbitrage report. That was $1,500, has to do with our bond issuance. So that is $1,500. So advisor expenses, the highest increase of 94.78. Any questions on that? The next one is the field, the maintenance and operations department. The biggest increase you'll see is going to be with their salaries and benefits, is because they've added a new FTE. Overall, they're up $30,000, 1.3%. There isn't anything too significant. If you go to line 84, safety is being increased by $9,000 because we're doing the confined space equipment and the electric shock equipment and new flagging signs. Is there any questions on any of that?
Big decrease on the, my eyes are treating me right, the field medical line
Yeah.
87.
Because at the beginning of the year, we budget a 12% increase for medical dental vision because we don't know what it's going to be until March, and it actually came in at 4%.
Wow.
So overall, they're at $30,000, 1.39%. We go into the treatment plans. So the significant ones here is going to be in the chemicals and the personnel, because they added a new FTE at the treatment plant also. On line 106, the polymers are up 10,000. It's a 3% increase plus more population, so they have to treat more. The sodium magnesium hydroxide, we upped it to $45,000 from the beginning of your budget. There was a price increase on that. The biosolids poly in line 109. We increased that because we expect a possible price increase coming soon on that one. Line number 111, the major equipment. They have the blower repairs, some pump repairs, and some possible new probes to purchase this year. Line number 116, the plant cellular phone. We had new employee equipment and 4% increase in cost. Yeah, another big one was line number 124, other services. That was for Calming Engineering. They updated all of the SCADA systems down there and the computer systems. So there's a lot of work Calming's been doing, as well as the HVAC system.
And why wouldn't that be planned into the budget cycle? Is there something unforeseen there, or what's the?
Wasn't that the latest one where we had to replace equipment because it was no longer, we went from like
End
a
of life.
3G to a
Yeah.
5G, end of life.
Ah.
equipment.
Well, that
Our
was actually.
historian data is.
That was field, but isn't it similar equipment?
Yeah, we replaced all the computer systems down there last year, and so now they're doing all the software upgrades, migrating all the data and all that. And there's been some HVAC problems that they've been having to troubleshoot.
We also had the server that controls our MDR go down, and so that was about it cost quite a bit to replace that.
Sure. Thanks.
And then, let's see, the laboratory outside analysis, there's a new sampling protocol with the Department of Ecology. And you have to do samplings 2 times instead of 1 time now per year, so that went up. And then the plant safety line 129 is for the electrical protective equipment. And so overall, the plant mid-year budget is up 76,000, 2.81%. Is there any other questions at this point? So the last page just is the other rate expenses, which is the city operating fee of 15,000. There's no change in that. Overall, the mid-year budget is at 7.465, up 3.61% from the beginning of your budget. Then we go to Schedule 5, which is the capital. So for the capital budget, I know what the budget amount is for the project itself is. So I take what we've spent in prior years to what we spent last year, and the remaining budget goes into the 2021 budget. So on the comprehensive plan projects, line number 1, the original lift station is now complete. That will drop off on next year's budget. Lines 2 through 12, all those projects are still in progress. We're still working on them. So we have a total comprehensive plan projects budget of $6.9 million. These are all the projects that are included in our comprehensive plan currently. And we go down to our detailed capital projects. These are all the little things that come up. Oh, we needed to replace this. They're not in the comprehensive plan. And it's the same thing, the prior year money that we spent, the money that we spent in 2020, leaving the remaining budgets in 2021 to be spent. And if those aren't spent in 2021, they'll carry over to 2022. So line 13, the infiltration inflow study, although it doesn't have any dollar amounts, we leave that as a placeholder because the project ecology may require it some year. So it's just always there so we don't forget to account for it if they do require it. Lines 14 through 17 have all been completed, so they will drop off the capital budget for next year. And we're still working on projects, line 18 through 21. And we haven't started some of the other projects yet. 22 and 23 haven't been started yet. Line 24, the kind of gate replacement's been started. The new recirculation pump has not been started yet. The headworks and band screen rehabs are now completed. And we have scheduled to replace 3 of the vehicles this year. And I know that we're in the process of looking for those right now. And then the Vernon Business Center improvements, so that's the upstairs remodeling, that's probably being worked on. And the HVAC units, which will become part of the Vernon Business Center improvements. So next year, we're just going to roll those together. And then line 30 for the collection system pipe repairs, that's a rolling amount that's there in case we have an emergency and we have to replace any piping. Is there any questions on that?
No, go ahead.
That's my presentation.
Thank you.
Just, I guess a couple overall observations. So it looks like the reduction in debt is going to save us in perpetuity about 450,000 based on previous, which is great, which is about 3.5%, which is about what we've seen increase relative to our latest forecasting mid-year. So that would tell me that even absent additional revenue, our OpEx is pretty stable to go into the year with enough strength to hopefully keep rates where they are. But I am kind of foreshadowing at least kind of a conversation we probably have in fall, I assume, and a deeper dive on that. So that's great. So that is awesome. And then the extra revenue, we'll see where that comes in. So great. Yeah. Well done.
Thank you.
Yeah, when I look at it, it's like, by us using the rate stabilization fund to pay down debt, it did exactly that, which was stabilize the rate so that more O&M could increase, while debt decreases.
Yeah.
So the monthly rates coming in were stable by changing those percentages.
Yeah, that's hard to do. Yeah, those are decisions that are hard to let go of those green dollars, but they're done with the purpose of what they were intended to do when collected, and it delivered the outcome that was stated. So that's awesome.
Excellent. Well, no other questions from anybody. Let's move on down to item B under 7, which was the new business, and it's an approval for a reimbursement to the city for some equipment. And I'll turn that over to staff to bring us up to speed on that.
Okay.
Take it.
Yeah. So as part of the decant facility operation, to clean out our bay, the city purchased a wheel loader or front end loader to clean out our bays. And this $74,975.83 is a 50% share of that equipment. The original interlocal agreement did not have equipment purchased in the interlocal. It was strictly construction. So that's why we're coming to you. And then the city staff and I are working on constructing an MOU on how those maintenance costs, continual maintenance costs on that vehicle and any repairs, repair costs are allocated. So, but this is strictly a reimbursement for 50% of the equipment.
And to me, that's consistent with our agreement. It was cities would be responsible for the operations of the decant once it was set up. And so defining how those operation puts and takes makes a lot of sense. And this is obviously directly related to that. So, but I like the idea of getting it, nailed down so no one's surprised and there's no misunderstandings. But this looks consistent from my perspective.
Any questions, Commissioner Stevenson?
No.
If none there, how about a motion, someone to?
I'll make a motion to approve to reimburse the city for $74,975.82 for the purchase of the decant facility front end loader.
I'll second.
It has been moved and seconded to reimburse the city of Lake Stevens for the equipment as mentioned by Commissioner Stevenson in the amount of $74,975.83. So with that being said, there's no other questions, comments, concerns by anybody. Not seeing any objections being raised, I'll go ahead and call for the vote. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
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 It has been approved. I do notice there is one little comment up in the chat box, but I can't see it, but I don't know what it is. It's probably,
That's from when you asked if they could see the screen and somebody responded yes.
perfect.
Perfect timing.
Hey, just, no worries. Okay, so with that being said, we are down to line item number 8 of this morning's fine agenda, and that is the manager's reports, and we'll go ahead and start with the general manager.
Alrighty, and Ellen and I came out with a couple of new policies that we were required to have. So I wanted to update you that we do have a new heat exposure policy, and we have a new wildfire smoke policy that have been implemented, disseminated to staff, and training has been provided for staff and supervisors to carry on those policies. We, at the plant, remember we had hired 2 new operators in training this year. One of them has since left the district, separated from the district. Rather than going out for another operator in training, I would like to go out for an operator level 2 or 3. What that would do budget-wise is individuals that come in as operating trader can self-promote as they take their certification exams to a level 1, a level 2, a level 3, or level 4. So what it does to the budget is put the burden earlier rather than later. But what it will do is give us some immediate relief at the plant in getting somebody with a little more training in there that can take call, that can help us with more of the maintenance and the operations of the plant itself. So what we would like to do now that we have an open position is go out for a level 2 or 3, like I said, if the commissioners are okay with that posting. An annual about 16% increase in salary, up to 16% if we got a level 3 compared to what the OIT is, what that difference would be for the full burden cost. And so I do believe it'll be more difficult for us to find someone than it was to find an entry level like we did before, just because we're limiting the pool of people to pull from. But I would like to try if you're amenable to that.
I'm happy to wear a sandwich board down at the Waswat meeting.
All right.
Yeah. Yeah, I have no issue with it. I mean, you guys, however you feel that we need to staff in the best way, that's, we're gonna leave that up to you folks. You have to deal, work it every day, so.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I would anticipate by the end of next week that we could have a public posting. We're required by our union contract to post internally first for 5 days, and then it'll get posted externally. And I will keep you updated.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Great.
Okay, the next thing, as we discussed in our last workshop, the nutrient general permit, our comments back to ecology are going to be due this next week. And so I do have results or input from GNO that we have received that I'll compile with the letter that staff is working on as well. I did request of the city if they have any input to that I would include that with it too if they wanted to send that over. And so we will be submitting our letter to them. And then plant update, flows are about 2.4 million gallons a day. JWC did complete the 2 millimeter screen, advanced screen repairs, as Mickey mentioned in the presentation, and that front gate repair, well actually replacement, has been started. So they poured this new cement pad and we're getting going on that. So those are good. We did have an issue this week. Our UV system has small AC cooling for the control panels and it did overheat, which tripped the UV system, which is our primary disinfectant system for our effluent going out. So it tripped about 7:17 in the evening on the 9th, and we discovered it on the 10th in the morning. There was no alarm that got called out. It hadn't been set up that way. So we did report to ecology just like we're supposed to, did an immediate report of a permit violation and that we had no disinfectant for about 800,000 gallons of effluent that went out to EV pollutants. So we are still continuing to work with ecology to make sure that we're doing everything that they require of us and so that we protect those receiving waters. We took a precautionary fecal chloroform sample immediately so that we could see what the possible impact was. And there was almost no fecal chloroform that was found in that effluent water. So we're well within our permit limit of how much fecal chloroform can go out into the receiving waters, but we still report just because the disinfectant was not on for a period of time.
God bless the filters and membranes.
Yeah.
And that is what it is. The membranes, the pore size on the membranes is smaller than the filter size on the test to do the fecal. So it really does protect us quite a bit in having those membranes.
You said there's no alarms. Should there be an alarm for something?
So it was something that's never happened for us before. So we didn't realize that the alarm level would not call out an operator. So there is a trigger, but it says they have a level. So only at a 500 level does it actually call somebody on call to come respond to it. And that level of the alarm was at a 100, which does not call out. So that has since been fixed as well. So if this ever happens again, we would have an operator get notified and be able to respond appropriately. And that's all I have, unless you have questions.
No, thank you. Let's move to the assistant GM.
All right. So we've collected 327.59 connection fees thus far and have issued 398 permits. Mountain View Phase 1 and Heinz plats are almost complete. We're working through final submittals to be able for final acceptance of the sewer system and lift station that they've constructed. Expecting that to be done, if not by the end of this month, probably early next month. Let's see, Toll Estates is nearing final testing, so I would imagine that we'll see connection fees and permits come in from them before the end of the year as well. And Angeline has started conducting in-house inspection of the plats, so we think that developers will see a reduction in costs almost immediately. And it is good to get that in-house. And Angeline's been doing a great job, and we've gotten some pretty good feedback from developers. So kudos to Angeline, she's doing a great job. Lift Station 22 odor control project is still in a holding pattern. We're applying as much pressure to the manufacturer of the odor control device to try to expedite delivery. But right now, they are not necessarily relenting, and we're looking for up to 12 to 18 weeks before it's delivered. And we continue to receive odor complaints from the neighbors and feel horrible about it, but we are doing as much as we can to get this expedited for them. The FOG program, we recently have gotten commitments from two of our, I would label them as high contributors or higher contributors of FOG. And we've gotten them, one has already installed a grease interceptor, another by early next year, we'll have a grease interceptor in. We've issued one FOG grant so far this year. We've got another application that's currently being in progress, being processed. And there are 23 more accounts that we're reaching out to heavily to try to incentivize them to take advantage of the grant program before it expires at the end of the year. And fog inspections, we've had great results with people being compliant, and yeah, we're seeing some good progress there. And that's all I have.
Any questions? The only thing that I would ask is, I know in Mountain View when we were doing that, and then during this last annexation that was initially in the city, there was a lot of concerned comments in the area of folks that wanted to develop some of the land down there. Have we seen anything come forward? Are they starting to?
Yeah, I've received a couple of phone calls of properties that's north of Mountain View, wondering what the annexation process looks like. They know that it'll be coming into the city soon and wanted to know what the district's annexation process looked like. So there's potential development. They haven't really explained what the development might look like or any densities or anything. And then south of the Mountain View area along South Lake or Machias Cutoff, there are a couple of plats there, the Bachelor plat, and then which has already been annexed, and then a couple of parcels just north of Bachelor, looking at potential plat of another 90 some odd units. So.
Okay.
But that's again very early stages. They haven't applied for preliminary plat or anything. We've just had kind of precursor meetings with the developer.
Okay, thank you. Any questions from my fellow commissioners or anything? No. We're gonna move on down to number 9, city report. Looking up on the virtual wall. I'm just trying to see if there's somebody from, of course, my eyes aren't what they used to be. If there's anybody representing the city today that might want to give us any sort of report.
Gary left for-
Yeah, Councilman Peter Sagan was there, but he sent me a little text here and said, that's what I was looking at when you were giving your right. He said, just a reminder, police diary requirement reception, August 18th, 1 to 3, police station. And he had to run to another meeting. So that's one piece of info from the city. So.
I did not receive anything from Gene or anyone else at the city at this time.
Okay. Well, I know that they do take a couple months off in July, August, so it's a kind of hiatus for them.
One thing the city had approached Mariah and I about was on Festival Street. There is a future design for another bathroom there, and the city approached us to potentially partner or construct said bathroom on Festival Street. And I had recommended potentially bringing that up at the next utility committee meeting.
Yeah.
So that may be a topic for discussion.
Okay. We'll wait to see. Time will tell. So we'll move on down, since there's nothing else on that aspect, to commissioners' reports. And we can start with whoever wants to start. You guys start. We'll go from there.
I just want to say great job to Mickey. You make looking at the financials so easy, and I know that's a hard job. So great job. And just all the staff, I think you guys are amazing as always. But Angeline, good job on doing your extra stuff for the inspections and continue the great work.
We did do the first billing every time this comes to developers.
Good job.
New revenue source. With consistent expense behind it.
Well, and it's me being able to finally live up to the promise of developers paying 50% of that salary. So
Yeah, that's awesome. Hoshi, the only thing I have is, do we want to plan on a deep dive on the whole nutrient, situation with our city partners? I mean, that's something, certainly they're going to live with, and the owner would, whether it's 2033 or whatever. And that's the biggest capital question mark that we got in our budget. And so I don't know if we want to you know, if it makes sense to do have a guest speaker, have, yeah, I don't, but there's probably I know they're aware and we kept them informed, but I think it's probably time to pull them into a tighter fold on this one because it's a big deal.
Would you like it within the utility committee meeting or like a utility committee workshop?
I think workshop's probably better. We can pin any potential drama in the meeting, if there is any, hopefully not, and then have the workshop really be a pure, our minds on that.
Well, and I think that was something we'd already kind of discussed a little bit of, at least broaching it now that we've kind of, because I know that our admin team has got it going with them, because I think there was some confusion because they're not paying attention to that like we are because they're not dealing with the wastewater. I think we broach it at the utility meeting, and then we do have a deeper dive workshop, maybe not only just a workshop with the utility committee, but maybe the whole council at one of theirs as part of it, just to kind of bring it, because they're gonna need a quorum of individuals eventually to approve something, and I think if they get in at the ground floor, they understand it because.
And maybe Jeff, you know, I mean, he's been involved, Jeff Clark, I mean, he's been involved, you know, in the game. Maybe he's a potential, you know, fellow commissioner, previous GM, and has been around this and been working with it. I don't know if he's the right person or he can, but yeah, I think it's more than an hour workshop.
Oh, I think it's gonna be.
It's like a half-day workshop, I think, to really ground us. And we can, between now and then, we can, you know, what's the goal coming out of that? What's the, you know, really kind of hang some ideas around a framework.
Because I think you're right in the context of what we were looking at once before, but the 2025 plant upgrade for potential growth is now going to be for DOE requirements. I mean, and that's a question mark. Every district that's being affected by it right now, as we've all found out going through WASWAD, you know, where we're all kind of scratching our heads because we didn't really get to input. We just got to respond. That's
right.
It.
And we've transferred the old treatment plant facility now, and that might now come back into part of a solution, maybe. I mean, that is something to be. So anyway, so there's a lot of connection points there, both for both teams.
And the city currently has Pace Engineering looking at potential uses for the old treatment plant site, and it might be helpful because they're kind of analyzing potential uses, and one of the potential uses was the side stream nutrient treatment that they're going to look at. So it might be helpful if the city wants to invite Pace to have them come in.
Just double their engineering estimate for the beginning.
Anything else?
Thought I could get buried a smile.
There you go.
That's all I can do.
Well, the only thing I really have is, again, thank you to the staff for all the hard work. If you guys didn't know, I did sign a couple letters that we sent to the city of Lake Stevens and Snohomish County in regards to those ARPA funds, which the federal government sent down to the respective cities and counties in regards to, it's the American Rescue Plan funds. So we as a district, I just extended to them saying, hey, we would like to see if you can help fund some of these unfunded mandate type things that we're looking at that weren't in our current plan for the downtown because of the millions of dollars it could. So a couple letters were sent out, you know, asking, hey, is there, you know, you have these funds, can you assist? Because we're an essential service. It's an essential part of planning. I know the city received, what, $9 million or something close to that. The county got like $159 million. These funds could be utilized for something in that context. So I think it was important to at least be able to put a couple letters out saying, hey, you know, it's an infrastructure need. This is something that if we're partners, we need to work on and try to solve this because nobody wants a surprise 5 years from now that we have to pay $9 million of infrastructure needs and nobody has the money to do it. So, so that's, you know, it's going to address like the Machias industrial area. So that was just something there. So that was about it. On that, the only other thing I would say is there is a conference coming up in the fall. I did sign up to go to that. I think it's important to kind of reach out. It's been over gosh, a year or more since we try to take a hiatus on those at times because we don't really feel, but I would encourage my fellow commissioners, if you have the opportunity, it is something, it's great networking, you learn a lot, there's great vendors there, and there's a lot of things that I think that are coming in front of us that we probably should all be aware of, especially the DOE stuff, because I think that probably got everybody's hackles raised a little bit in that. So take a look at that and see how your schedule goes. I would just say, it is one of those conferences I would suggest going to. So with that, I think we are nearing the end, other than we do have an executive session, as I had mentioned before. There would be no decision to follow. It's currently 9:55 according to the time on the wall here. The executive session would, again, just cover two topics. One would be an update pending and potential litigation for the district, and then other for the review of public employees. There is no decision to follow. I said 5 minutes, knowing how electeds talk, it might be a little bit more than 5 minutes.
Probably do 15.
I would say 15 then. That's just due warning, because if you leave it to an elected, they've got a microphone, they'll talk. So with that being said, I would say we would go into it in a couple minutes and probably be out, just being very positive in the sense, we're going to say 10:15 just to be sure, because again, we are there. So with that being said, I'm going to turn it over to legal, who can give all the little caveats and RCWs if so desired to do that. And we do thank everybody who was able to join us today. So with that, Mr. Campbell, you are up. Thank you, Mary.
Can you unmute him manually, please?
Okay,
You're up.
I'm finally being heard. And just a comment. One thing that's problematic about me being muted during the meeting is if something comes up that I need to comment on, I can't make a comment during the course of the meeting. So it would be a good idea for me not to be muted during the meeting. But for the purposes of the executive session, the commission will now recess into executive session for the purposes that the president has indicated, to discuss potential litigation and the review of a public employee. The commission or the executive session will last until up to 10:15 unless extended by the commission. The commission will not take action or will not make an announcement based upon the discussion that occurs in the executive session. At the conclusion of the executive session, the commission will return to regular session, at which point the commission will adjourn the meeting. And so now, with a few moments to get organized, the commission will recess into its executive session.
This conference will now be recorded.
So the Board of Commissioners are back out from the executive session. We are going to extend for 10 more minutes. Will take us to 10:25. And again, once we resume normal session, there will be no action or decision to follow other than to conclude today's meeting. So with that being said, we're going back into executive session for 10 more minutes.
This conference will now be recorded.
So the Board of Commissioners, as previously indicated, are now coming back into regular session from our executive session extension. There is no action decision to follow, other than we just want to adjourn this fine meeting. Nothing else. I don't see anybody else joining us this morning other than the group that's been here all along. So with that being said,
I'll make a motion, Major.
I'll second.
it's been moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
All right.
Aye.
Thank you, everybody. Have a wonderful Thursday. I guess that's
Friday.
Yeah, exactly.